Hey, shalom everyone. It's Raw Confessional time again. I thought I'd make a short video explaining why I went on sabbatical and why I was gone for almost 4 years. Um, about almost 4 years ago, I made a public announcement on social media and on the website that I was going on an indefinite sabbatical, and I did not know that when I was going to be back. And so I was stepping down and stepping aside from ministry, and I didn't know how long I was going to be gone. And the reason that I did that is because I was burning the candle at both ends. Mentally, I was burnt out. I didn't have anything left to give. I had given everything that I could give. I just felt dry inside, and I felt empty inside. I lost passion. I lost motivation. I lost inspiration. Spiritually, I was burnt out as well. I was continually giving, and not receiving. As far as my spiritual food, I wasn't learning or receiving from others, and I was constantly teaching and putting out and giving out. I was writing blogs, making videos, and that just consumed the bulk of my time. And answering emails and answering questions and responding to people that were commenting on blogs and videos and whatnot. And I was writing commentaries and doing speaking engagements and missions trips and all this kind of stuff, and it just got to be way too much for me. And so spiritually, I was just burnt out. Physically, I was having a plethora, a multitude of health problems. I had allergies, asthma, arthritis, adrenal fatigue. I was having oral care issues. I was having irritable bowel syndrome. My joints and my bones were aching. I was having arthritis really bad. I was having insomnia. I couldn't sleep. And so, physically, I was just deteriorating and going downhill fast, with a multitude of health issues. No medication, no supplement, no pill, no doctor could correct it or touch it or alleviate the symptoms or anything like that. And I was scared. I just really didn't know what was going on with my health. I didn't know what I was going to do. Um, Mentally, I was so stressed and anxious and depressed and frustrated that I would snap at my loved ones at the drop of a hat. I would get, like something unexpected to happen. I'd think it's the end of the world, and my anxiety would just go through the roof. I was having panic attacks, and I was just in a really, really bad place, all the way around, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I knew that I had to do something. God was continually calling me. You need to step down. You need to take a break from ministry. I'm telling you. So reluctantly, I did, but I knew it was the right thing to do, because I know that if I would have kept going and didn't listen to the Lord, I would have either ended up in the hospital or the loony bin or both, or maybe even in a casket. It was just getting that bad, and it was to the point where I was causing a lot of stress and anxiety with my wife and daughter. And my wife's like, "Look, you got to get a handle on whatever's going on. We can't take much more of this, so you need to do something about this." And she was getting frustrated. We were having a family issues, crisis in our family. We had a loved one that was needing extra attention and extra care. That was putting on more of a load on our family and taking up a lot of our time. My daughter was just becoming a teenager, and you know what goes along with that. So I needed to really focus on my marriage and really focus on my relationship with my daughter. And I needed to focus on my relationship with God, because I was so busy ministering that I wasn't really relating to Him. My personal relationship with God was so weak, and I felt so empty that I was thinking, man, I thought I thought I had it all. I thought that I was happy and I was complete. If this isn't fulfilling me, then where do I turn? Then where do I go? Then what's going on? Then why isn't this working for me? So reluctantly, I did the right thing and did what God had called me and asked me to do, and that was step down and just step away from the ministry for an indefinite amount of time. And also, there were some things going on in the lives of the ministerial associates that was also involved with Abraham's Descendants International. They too felt that it was time for them to kind of step down and step back and focus on their personal lives and focus on their family. So we just made the announcement and just put it on the website that everything's going to be available. We're going to, but we're taking a break for a while, and we just kind of let things be, let things just kind of run on their own. And so one of my friends from Bible college, he was in the same society that I was in. He was involved in a ministry down in Georgia, and he contacted me personally. He said, look, I hear your cry for help. I hear you're having a lot of health issues and nothing's working, nothing's happening. He said, if I sent you a book, would you read it? And I was just so in a place of surrender. I was like, yes, like I'm willing to try anything. I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So yes, if you sent that book, I promise you, I will read it. So a week or so later, I received a book in the mail. Now, before I go on, I don't endorse a lot of ministries. And whatever ministries that I do endorse, you better believe I've researched them, and you better believe that I wholeheartedly believe in them. I don't do favors for people. I don't say, well, if you advertise me, I'll advertise you. I don't do any of that. If I recommend something, it means that I've used it myself, or I've been involved or experienced it myself, and I truly believe in what it is. And so he sent me this book called A More Excellent Way to Be in Health by Henry Wright. And as you can see, it's a pretty thick book. It's not an overnight read. So I didn't read it right away. It sat on my side table by my recliner for the longest time. And the Lord was just preparing me to read this book. And he was continuing to deal with my heart and my life and my mind. And suddenly there came a time where my eyes just kept going to that book as I was sitting in my recliner. And I'm like, okay, I get it, God. It's time to pick up that book, and it's time to read. So it's not one of these things where I just got it and couldn't put it down and I read through the whole thing. No, it took me months to read through this. Why? Because there's a lot of work required when you read this book, A More Excellent Way to Be in Health. So basically what I did is I would read paragraphs or sections at a time, and my heart and my mind and my brain would feel so full, chocked full of information, that I'd get up, I'd set the book down, get up, walk around and pray, walk around and meditate, walk around and think about it. Sometimes I'd sleep on it and wake up the next day and get back into the book. And through this book, the Lord started revealing to me why I was having these physical, mental, and spiritual issues in my life, why my life was falling apart. There was some spiritual issues that were in my life that were taking over, and these spiritual issues was manifesting negatively in a physical way in my life. So these spiritual problems were manifesting as physical sicknesses. My anxiety, my allergies, my asthma, my arthritis, my adrenal fatigue, my insomnia, my irritable bowel syndrome, and all these other things that I was dealing with. All stemmed from 2 or 3 different spiritual issues. I was fearful, I was anxious, I was depressed. That's a spirit of fear. So there was a spirit of fear at work there. All these other health problems that I was having was coming out of a place of being in bondage to fear, being in bondage to bitterness. Now, bitterness is a big umbrella with a lot of stuff underneath it, and I was having some major anger issues. Anger is a part of that. Unforgiveness is a part of that. And so I was dealing with anger and unforgiveness and bitterness, and it was manifesting negatively in physical health issues in my life. There was also the issue of passivity, and that kind of stems from anxiety. I'm afraid to act and afraid to put my foot down and afraid to be assertive. So there was this passivity quality. I was feeling emasculated. I was feeling like I wasn't in control and like I wasn't a true man. And so the book revealed those issues in my life, and that I needed to take care of them. So as I was working through the book, the Lord was working on those spiritual issues in my life, and slowly I experienced freedom. I experienced deliverance from these things little by little. And all the medications that I was taking at that time, it's not like I verbally heard God, but it was almost on that verge of verbalization where I felt in my heart and my mind so strongly to take half dose. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody, without consulting a doctor. I wouldn't, but God, I heard him clearly, take a half dose. So I started taking a half dose of my medication. And for about 3 months, I was taking a half dose. And then one day I opened up my little pill bottle. I was getting ready to reach in and take a pill. He says, you're done. That's it. No more. You're done. I was off all of my medications, for allergies and for asthma and for depression. I was off all that stuff for insomnia. I was off all that stuff, and I didn't need it. And so shortly after this, my friend called. He says, "Hey, remember the book I gave you? Did you read it?" "Yeah, man, it's great." And I'm experiencing freedom and deliverance. He said, "Look, we've got a conference that is in line with this book. It's like a follow-up to the book. It's called For My Life. So if you can make your way down to Georgia, you can stay at my house and attend the conference." And so I did, and it changed my life because it just solidified the freedoms that I was experiencing. I conquered that spirit of fear. I conquered that spirit of bitterness. I had to go to, 3 or 4 people in my life and forgive them for what they did to me and ask them to forgive me for what I did to them, because I was holding on to bitterness and unforgiveness. And once I conquered that spirit of fear and released that bitterness and got over that passivity and started being properly assertive, I started experiencing healing in my life. I was able to sleep through the night. The things that would trigger me and normally cause me to go into a panic attack, I noticed, hey, I should be freaking out right now, but I'm not. What's going on? And so like I was just being freed from all of this. And after I read this book and attended the conference, I bought a couple books. One was called Fear by Henry Wright, and one was called Bitterness by Henry Wright. And because that was my main issues. And so as I read through those books, it further solidified that deliverance and that freedom that I was experiencing. And I just seen my health improve. So the only thing that I don't take any over-the-counter medicine anymore. The only thing that I take is vitamins and supplements. That's it. That's all that I take. And I'm eating right. I'm exercising. I'm 44, and I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I feel like my 44-year-old person can kick my 24-year-old butt, right? So I've just experienced physical, mental, and spiritual deliverance, healing, and freedom. And so I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. You're going to read this book, and there's going to be a certain point in time in it where you're going to get mad at this book because you're going to be convicted because what it's saying is true, and you're going to say, no, that's not me. No, he's trying to say I'm this way and I'm not, and the Lord's going to say, yeah, you are. You're going to want to toss this book across the room because it's going to tick you off, but it's going to tell you the truth, and if you listen to it, submit to it, it's going to change you. So like I said, I don't recommend things all that often. I don't do that, I don't endorse ministries that often, but I highly recommend this. And when I went to that For My Life conference, I was so surprised to see other people there wearing tzitzit like me, wearing kippas like me, whole families there. This guy, he's not, I wouldn't call him Torah obedient or Torah observant, but he is as close to Torah observant as a Protestant Christian as you can get. And I was baptized, mikvahed, if you will, on December 10th, on my daughter's birthday. It was her birthday, and it was a new birth for me because it was a new me. I felt like I was 41 years old at the time, and just as 40 years in the wilderness and the 41st year was the first year in the promised land, I felt like that I had ended my 40-year wilderness, my 40-year journey, and I was entering my promised land. I was conquering that which God had for me. And with that new birth, that rebirth, that baptism, it symbolized that. It symbolized that I was out of the wilderness and I was going into my promised land, and I was healed, I was delivered, I was freed. And so I've been walking in divine health for the past almost 4 years, not taking any prescription or over-the-counter medicines. And I've had a few colds, but that's just a upgrade for immune system. That is what's common unto man. Doesn't mean that you're never going to get sick. But I'm not dealing with allergies, asthma, arthritis, adrenal fatigue, insomnia, irritable bowel syndrome. I'm not dealing with any of that. I'm not having any memory issues. I'm not depressed anymore. I'm happy. I've been totally healed and delivered. And so I highly recommend this book and Be in Health ministry to anyone. And it's one of those ministries that I feel led to regularly support, even though that they're not messianic per se. They are serving a vital, vital function in the body of Messiah. And if it wasn't for my friend sending me this book, and if it wasn't for this ministry, I wouldn't be where I am today. So that's why I took that sabbatical, to get my physical, mental, and spiritual health back in shape and my family back to where it needs to be. And then there was a day where I just felt like the Lord was saying, okay, I'm releasing you. You are ready. You are fit. You've got a clean bill of health. I want you to get back into ministry again. Now you're going to be doing it for the right reasons. And so and as you've seen in one of my past raw confession videos, I gutted the website. I just, because the Lord said the stuff you have on there, it's good, but at the same time it's crap, because it needs polished, it needs refined, it needs re-edited. You were just so anxious to get it out there, you put it out there and it was half baked and incomplete. I want you to just gut your website and just start all over and just redo the stuff that you did and make it as perfect and as polished and as sharp as it can be, and put it back out there. So that's what I'm in the process of doing, as well as creating new things as well. And that's kind of my testimony. That's the reason that I've been on sabbatical for so long, and I just wanted to put that out there, let you guys know about that, let you guys know about a more excellent way to be in health and that ministry. So go to beinhealth.com or iamchanged.com, and there'll be tons of testimonies. And you'll be surprised at some of the people that have gone through that ministry. There's some contemporary Christian artist, John Waller, who went through that, and now he's goes on tour with Be in Health and does the praise and worship for them a lot of times. So it's a great ministry, great book. I think every believer should read it, because many, probably 95 or more % of all sicknesses and illnesses have a spiritual root. And if you can find the spiritual root, and you can deal with that, you can conquer that sickness, you can conquer that illness. I am walking and living proof of that. I no longer have allergies, asthma, arthritis, adrenal fatigue. I no longer have insomnia or irritable bowel syndrome. I no longer have those things. I've been freed and delivered because they were hooked to and rooted in a spirit of fear, bitterness, and passivity. And so, like I said, and for about 3, almost 4 years, I've been walking in divine health and haven't taken any prescription medication as a result. So anyways, love you guys. Really take this to heart, and I highly recommend going to beinhealth.com and iamchanged.com if you're having health issues. Read the book, seek it out. The money that you spend, the For My Life conference, and you attend, it's worth every penny. When I got back from that conference, my wife was like, "Who are you and what have you done with my husband?" It's kind of what, because I was changed, man. I was a totally new person. And I just hope that kind of shows and reflects in the more recent things that I've done online. Anyways, I'm chewing your guys' ear off. I'm going to sign out from the Raw Confessional for now. Love you guys. Shalom. Shavuot Tov.